Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, I make another patchwork dress. This one is rose. Well, it's dark red coral and it's got 14 fat quarters plus 1.5 yards of fashion width fabric. And I also did a little bit more beading on the Egyptian jacket. So let's get into it.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So I bought those 4 lots of fat quarters, bundles of 12, and I'm slowly working my way through it. I had the sunshine one, which was just 14 fat quarters, and then I made the teal one, which was 14 fat quarters plus 2 yards of that teal fabric with the lemons in it. And now it is time to do the coral rose colored one. So this one isn't really rose or coral, but it does have coral in there, so I decided this was going to be the bodice. And then I had found this plain pink one that didn't really go with anything else, so that's going to be the back. And I did that a while ago, cut out the bodice. It's from that McCall's pattern, M7948. It is such a great pattern. I just used the bodice from that. And anyway, so I did that a while ago. And then I've been trying to bead this Egyptian jacket, and I've been working on it for so long now. Well, it feels like a long time. And I've just been beading it, and it's alternating like glass bead, then sequin, then glass bead, then sequin. And I think last time you saw it, I had just hemmed the bottom and done an extra few layers on the bottom of it, and I just had to work on the top a little more. So yeah, I've just been adding more to here we go. There's a little more just 1 or 2 rows on the front, and I've also done a little bit more on the arms. And yeah, here's just a close-up of those bottom 3. So as you can see, there was 1 row in each ribbon sort of thing, 1 row of beads, and then I doubled down on the bottom 3 rows. Now there's 2 sort of, and I just put them in the spaces in between, and it just gives it an extra weight to the jacket, and it's really good. So I'm really happy with that, but now I have to do the top part and the sleeves, and I was just sort of working out the beads as well, because the beads on the arms need to look similar but be slightly smaller. Beads are done in metric, so millimeters. So some of the ones on the torso of the jacket are like a 16 millimeter or a 14 millimeter. So on the sleeves, I've got a 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter, and some 12 millimeters. So they look the same and they've got the same type of mix, but they just are slightly smaller so that they'll be slightly lighter, because otherwise it's just too much weight on the shoulder join of the jacket. I mean, it's reinforced, and the way I sew up the seam allowance into the shoulders, into the tops of the sleeves, is really secure, but still, like, it's a lot of beads, like hundreds of beads, so that weight adds up. So I've just been sort of calculating how to do it safely and well, so that I care about what my jackets are going to look like in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years time. So it's sort of about doing that right. Anyway, so I spent a few hours on that, but then it was time to set that aside and do another patchwork dress. I love the patchwork dresses, or the layer cake dresses, particularly the ones with the really big full skirts. But oh my goodness, the bigger and fuller the skirt, the more you have to pleat down all the fabric. I mean, the fuller the skirt, the more I love them. But yeah, so I made that summery one, which had 14 fat quarters. And then I made this teal one, which was 14 fat quarters plus 2 yards of fabric. Here's the summery one. And with the summery one, I just sewed them together. I didn't cut the fat quarters in half or anything. It was just 4 fat quarters for the top tier, 8 fat quarters for the second tier, and 2 for the bodice, 1 for the front, 1 for the back. And then with the teal one, I was able to cut them in half. And the good thing about that is you get more of the different patterns, and it looks more like, I don't know. I think if you leave the fat quarters as big fat quarters, it kind of looks like a whole bunch of bed sheets. No, but not really, but it kind of does. So these ones here, I've got 4 tiers. The first tier is just a 1.5 yard strip of coral. The second tier is 4 fat quarters, and I cut them in half, joined them all together lengthwise, and so it's actually 8 bits, but it's 4 fat quarters. Then the third tier is 4 strips of that 1.5 yard long coral coloured fabric, and then the fourth tier is 8 fat quarters cut in half, so 16 bits all sewn together in a big loop. These are the 4 loops for the 4 different tiers, and then I pleated them down together. The first and second tier I pinned them together, and then the third and the fourth tier I pinned them together, pleating it down as I went. Then I machine sewed them. So this is the first and second tier, is this short skirt there, and then this is the third and the fourth tier, and it's just easier to sort of do them together. And I used the ones I like the most on the front half of the skirt, and then the ones that aren't as fabulous on the back half of the skirt, or didn't really go with the colours so much. Like I really like that pink one, but it felt like it should be on the back of the skirt because it didn't really match the darker red ones on the front of the skirt. So then I pleated those to the tier 1 and 2. I joined that to tier 3 and 4 just by pinning them. Like I pinned them in 4 spots, then 8 spots, then 16, and then I machine sewed it and then reinforced it, so machine sewed it again, and here we go. I've pinned it on the mannequin and it's looking gorgeous. So this is just the front half of the skirt, but now we need a bodice. So as I said, I already cut it out, and it's sort of mint green, and it's just really cute. And the pink one with the shadow flowers is the back of the bodice. So the first step was to sew the and I also cut out lining. So the first thing you do with this bodice is sew the back left and the back right together. Then you press open the seam, and you do that on the outer bodice as well as the lining bodice. And once I'd done that, then I sewed the front and the back together just at the shoulders, and then I pressed open the seams as well. So I did that for the lining and the outer bodice. Next is I had to do the neckline. So I laid down the lining bodice, and then I put the outer bodice on the top, and I joined the two, so the right sides together, and then I pinned the neckline, and then I machine sewed that. And once I machine sewed that, then I clip the curves, and then this is a long bit of, here we go. I clip the curves, and then and clip the corners as well. And then I turned it in the correct way and pressed it again. And that way everything just sort of sits right. So here we go. It's turned out the right way, pressed, and now it is time to do these armholes, or where the sleeves would be. So the first thing you have to do is push back the lining so that we splay it open so you can see both sides, and then you roll in. So I'm working on the left side, so you roll in the right side and just roll it up in, so it's going to sort of be out of the way basically. So you just roll that in, and now you've got the left side of the shoulder and you've got the left lining. Now you bring the left lining over the rolled up right side, and then you pin these together, and this is going to make the arm strap. So you just make sure you pin the shoulder first so that those seams are flush, and then pin the rest, and then you machine sew it, and then you press it, and then you clip the curve just so that it's going to turn out properly. And then you just sort of lift up the bottom, and you carefully pull through the whole of the bodice, and you just have to pull it through the shoulder strap that you just made. So you've got to do it really gently and carefully. And here we go. It's a little bit wrinkled, so we'll just press that, and then it'll be time to do the other side. So there we go, beautifully pressed. And now it is time to do the other side. So you do the same thing, you splay open, you sort of tuck under the lining, and then so that you can see the whole thing. Then you roll in the side that you've just did, and then you lift over the lining and pin it to the outer bodice, and then you machine sew that again. And here we go, I've machine sewed it and I've pressed it, and then I'm just about to clip the curve, and then I pulled it through, and there we go. And then you press it again, obviously, and now the only thing left to do is the sides. So you just pin them together. Obviously the outer bodice front goes with the outer bodice back, and the lining bodice goes with the lining bodice front. Pin them together, make sure they're absolutely perfect under the sleeves, and then you press that seam open and turn it out the correct way, and there we go, we have the bodice. So now we have to get the skirt off the mannequin and put these two together. So here we go, I just pinned the centre front, centre back to the bodice and the two sides, and then found the centre point, pinned that, found the centre point on either side of that, and then just pleated it down and machine sewed it, then machine sewed it again to reinforce it. Then the whole thing is inside out, so you just that's the lining of the bodice up there, and I just do a seam line on that, machine sew a seam line on that, so I know exactly where to turn under my bodice lining, and then I stitch them together. And that way, instead of the whole of the outer bodice carrying the whole weight of the skirt, the lining and the outer bodice carry the weight of the skirt, so they only have half as much weight each, and it just makes your dress look effortless and much lighter. Because I make skirts with dresses with really big skirts, and it just makes it look breezy and light and effortless if there's less weight sort of dragging down the bodice, if you get what I mean. So anyway, here it is. Some of you have asked to see the dresses without ties, because I love putting a sash on everything. So this is what it looks like just as it is. But yeah, they do look like a million times more flattering with a tie on them. And the skirt is just amazing. So here we go. And there's the jacket in the background. I just put it up there to be out of the way, but I'm slowly getting there with the Egyptian jacket. But this skirt of this dress is amazing. I wasn't sure whether this bodice, this particular print was going to work because it's so much lighter than the rest of the dress, but actually the bottom tier of the skirt of this dress is really dark reds. So yeah, it kind of works having the lighter one at the top, and this is obviously the back. The pink of the back of the bodice is a little bit jarring, and this is the back of the skirt. It's kind of, you can tell these colours do not match as well as the ones on the front, but I kind of like that. They do sort of match. And I don't know, they give it a bit more character. See, it's very pink, that one. It wouldn't have worked in the skirt, that particular fat quarter, but it works well enough as the back of the bodice. And the front of the bodice, I just think that's amazing. It goes so well with that coral fabric. It really ties everything together. I'm really happy with the way that this one turned out. I wasn't sure it was going to work. And some of the fabrics are just so beautiful. There's one that looks like, in the bottom tier, that looks like an origami paper. And some of them are just really cute, and I love it. It's so pretty. I don't have any dresses anything like this, because I like the coral colour, but I guess dusty pink, I don't really have much in dusty pink or in that dark wine colour. So, and certainly not all these mixed together. It's amazing. I really like it. It's not like anything else I have in my wardrobe, so I'm very happy with it. And probably in the cooler months, I just wear yoga pants and a couple of long sleeve black t-shirts underneath it. So it's perfectly, and you can't see, if you're wearing trousers under a dress that has a long skirt, you really can't see it, but you keep nice and warm. So yeah, I love that about it. And plus you get all this amazing colour. And yeah, of course, now I want to get back to my beading. But it was really nice to make this dress. It's really lovely. It's, yeah, unexpectedly pretty. Well, I knew it was going to be pretty, but I didn't know how nice it was going to be. I love it. So with all the fat quarters I bought in November, I still have the lighter green ones and the mint and the sage ones to go. But yeah, I've made the summery one out of those 14 fat quarters. Then I've made the teal one out of the 14 most tealian dark green fat quarters. And now we've got the Sonia and Rose one and pinks and dark reds. So yeah, I really wasn't sure whether all these colours would go together well. I mean, they're all on the spectrum of, red, dusty rose and coral, sort of, they're all in the same vague ballpark, sort of. But I didn't know whether they'd go or not. And I'm really, really happy with the way that it turned out. So yeah, I really want to get that beading finished on the Egyptian jacket. It's going to look so good once it's done. I mean, it looks kind of good having the top third not done, but the jacket won't age well unless it's reinforced over the shoulders, which will happen when I bead it. And beading, it's sort of, I mean, on the outside there's beads, but on the inside it's basically just reinforcing because of all the thread that gets sewn in, over the shoulders. But yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've been inspired to get out all your scraps, square them up, and make them into a gorgeous patchwork dress, because they're so much fun. Well, pleating all that fabric down, not the most fun thing, but twirling in the dress, absolutely, totally fun. So yeah, get your scraps out, make a quilted dress. They're awesome. Thanks for watching and happy sewing.